There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy a favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
Now, if there's anything we've learned this past month during the DSP sessions, is that now more than ever, DSP has become a mandatory component to not only installing a premium audio system, but getting the results and being able to integrate into all the different platforms that are coming into the shops today. This evening on Roundtable, we've invited 5 of the top experts throughout the country, dealers who really specialize in DSP, to sit with us and discuss the challenges, the latest innovations, and some of the trends that have impacted digital signal processing. This is Roundtable, all about DSP, presented by SiriusXM and, of course, sponsored by 5-Axis Innovations. And it starts now. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to this edition of Roundtable. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Now, tonight we're talking about a super important topic, 3 little letters that mean so much, DSP. We've spent all month literally going through one-on-one, presenting every possible brand that offers product within the DSP space. And like I said earlier, if there's anything we've learned, it's just the role that DSP has now played and the space that it's taken up in the importance of all things aftermarket in mobile audio. Of course, we have 5 guests, as mentioned, but before we get to those guests, if you watched our social media today, we kind of promised a little bit of a game changer announcement tonight. So we're going to get that out of the way right away and tell you what that's all about. I can't tell you how excited we are, but I'm not going to do that alone. In fact, we've got some special guests waiting in the studio to come on and kind of join me in this announcement. So first, I'd like to bring on one of our first guests, obviously someone very important to CMA Networks, representing SiriusXM, is their Senior Sales Director, Mr. Paul Truman, as well as our other partner and presenting sponsor of this show, Jody Culbertson from 5-Axis Innovations. Hey, Paul, Jody, how are you guys?
How you doing, guys?
We're doing fantastic. Listen, we, CMA, kind of made some big promises. We used the hashtag Game Changer. We promised that it was going to be a big announcement that we're going to make tonight, and a big announcement we will make, but I wanted to do it with our partners such as 5-Axis as well as SiriusXM. Let me start with you, Paul. We're going to be talking about Master Tech Expo. I'm going to rewind your brain back to just earlier this year. You had the opportunity to visit that show. What were your impressions, and how did you feel that show went for you?
So it's interesting because I spend most of the year traveling across the United States, and I attend every show from SEMA to CES to distributor trainings to in-person trainings all over the place, and actually had the privilege to attend this one, earlier this year. And I'll be honest, I was blown away, not only with the attendance, but how well it was put together, how well thought out the actual process was for people coming to this. I mean, it's not a cheap investment to get out there to do this. And it was packed with people that just wanted to learn and learn their craft better. So, out of all the shows, this is absolutely one of the top 2, 3 in the country. Absolutely brilliant.
And that's coming from somebody who literally spends his time visiting all the shows possible. So very, very
I actually just came back from one today. So
there you go. And we're happy you're with us. Now, Jody, I'm going to come at you from a different angle. You obviously very experienced within the industry. You yourself, a craftsman in fabrication and what you do with 5-Axis Innovations. How do you feel MasterTech Expo is an important event for technicians and fabricators? Important for them to attend and important for them to partake in?
I think at the end of the day, Brian has established himself in our industry as being someone who's innovative, someone who constantly raises the bar. And I think in our business, sometimes we have to put our egos at the, leave them at the door. And Brian is probably one of the greatest at ever, is most humble guy you'll ever meet. But he's taught me, as well as I think he's taught a lot of people, that we constantly have to be upgrading and constantly be pushing the bar forward. And, he has created a company that is like anything else in the world, really, at the end of the day, with constantly finding new techniques to doing things, making things better, making them easier. If you look at some of the greatest leaders in the world, they're constantly learning and teaching themselves. So if we can take anything from Brian Schmidt, and the show is that we always have to be educating ourselves to become better. I myself look at Brian all the time and go, he's constantly learning, and we constantly, even at our company, are pushing ourselves for new techniques, new designs, new looks, all that, because let's face it, if we're not going forwards, we're going backwards. And there's a lot of installers out there who can learn a lot, and I myself learn something every day. I'm not the person that's going to sit back and go, I don't know how to do that. I'm not going to. I'll call somebody and figure it out. That's the only way we're going to move forward. And I think Brian brings that to the table, especially with MasterTech Expo last year. He not only brought installers, but he brought people like King Big. The whole idea of doing custom cars. He brought Rockford to the table. He brought some people that are instrumental in our industry, but in various areas of our industry, but are very well respected. And I think everybody can learn from that. And I think anybody who does attend the event will take away the education that you can't learn it on YouTube. You can't learn it by reading. You have to experience it firsthand. And Brian does a great job with doing that.
Well, I'm going to add my little 2 cents into the pile here. I regretfully was not able to attend, even though Brian did invite me to go. And obviously, under the situations, we're looking past, that's not happening anymore. I will, of course, going to be there for the next one. But the takeaway I got was how blown away was the feedback I received from technicians that attended the courses, from the exhibitors that were there, to your point, Paul. This is a very unique event for the industry. And this is an event that we cannot ignore. In fact, this is an event that we need to band together and really push forward to make sure that our entire industry as a whole gets educated and levels up. And Brian is allowing us the platform to do such a thing. On that note, without further ado, we've brought these guys all together right now, right here. We're talking about MasterTech Expo. Guys, you're hearing it here first. Starting this Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, we're putting on a contest, but we're putting on a contest like never before. In fact, I don't remember for myself any contest of this nature. So we're very happy to be part of it. Let's go ahead and throw up the image here so everybody can see it officially. CMA Networks and MasterTech Expo present the Ultimate Fab Experience Giveaway in collaboration with 5-Axis Innovations and SiriusXM. Guys, we're giving away an all-inclusive trip to Mesa, Arizona in 2023 for MasterTech Expo. What does that include? We're talking the registration to the courses. We're talking the flights from wherever you are. We're talking meals. We're talking hotels. And what's better? We're not only giving away one package, we're giving away 2 prizes. One for a Canadian contestant, and another one will be drawing from the U.S. Paul, I want to give you a few words here. What do you have to say about this crazy contest we're putting on?
This is when this was brought up, and you started, sending this out, going, "Hey, what do you think of this?" I couldn't think of a better contest. I think, the things people come back from this show is amazing. I mean, it's a great contest. The one thing you did say, it's all inclusive. I don't believe there's any booze included in that because I'd go broke if it was for me, but it is what it is.
I'm sure if the winners found you, you might manage, a few complimentary drinks or so.
But anyway, it is, I mean, I'm very excited to be part of this. I know that, at SiriusXM, we're not into the fabrication of everything, but we are in the mobile audio business. We've been there for so long, and we just look extremely forward to sending two deserving people out to this show.
Amazing. Your thoughts on this, Jody, and why you're involved?
Anytime you can collaborate with Brian Schmidt on anything, I think is a tip off on the hat to where we are as an industry. So I'm super jacked. I can't think another way to put our money towards something that can educate our industry, give back to our industry, and ultimately, really change two people's lives. I believe that. I believe they attend this event, it could change their life, and that's what excites me the most.
Amazing. I share the same sentiments with you guys, and don't be warned, this is just the first announcement. There's details. There's going to be stuff in there. You're just going to have to stay locked to CMA Networks to get all the goods and stay updated. And you can be sure we're going to get Brian himself when he's not on vacation to get on the show and give us some of the nuggets that he loves giving us, because I know he's got a lot up his sleeve. So guys, Jody, thank you so much for the support and for being a part of this. Of course, Paul, SiriusXM, yourself, thank you so much for the continued support. And we're going to get this contest on the road starting Friday. And you guys will all be here when we announce the winners. And of course, we'll join you live in Mesa as well. So thank you so much for sharing this with us tonight.
Very cool. Thanks a lot, guys.
Take care now. That's some huge news. I just want to say we're going to bring up that image. And of course, it's going to be all over our social media moving forward, starting tomorrow, maybe even tonight. That contest, it's super easy. Doesn't matter if you're on Facebook or Twitter. When you see this, you're going to register. It's at cmanetworks.com/giveaway. The link is up, but the form is not open yet and will not be open and accessible until Friday morning. Absolutely free to enter, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this. All right. We'll be back to that soon. All right, let's get on with the show. We are here to talk DSP, and we are here to talk DSP with some of my favorite people in the country that know way more than I do about DSP. So let's go ahead and set them up. Let's get them on. We got some cool questions to cover that, hopefully, listen, these are dealers just like you guys. They deal with DSP every day. They've incorporated into their business model. It's in their bay, challenges, so on and so forth. We did our very best to put together topics and questions that would most benefit the conversation. So let's go ahead and get everybody on here. And I'd love to introduce who's our guest this evening. So we've got, look at these guys, ready to go. Right next to me, we've got Keith McCumber representing Sounds Good. Say hi, Keith.
Hello.
A newcomer to the CMA platform, Mr. Paul Kent, representing Advanced Mobile Entertainment in Ontario. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, guys.
Autumn Davis, Guru in Alberta, representing a certified radio. How's it going, Autumn? And last but not least, our return specialist, Mr. Jason Stearns, fresh off the water and on vacation and still with us. I appreciate you so much, Jason. Thank you for joining us, representing at Andre's Car Audio. All right, guys. Lots to talk about this evening. It's a hot topic. I mean, I can't tell you if I look at all the messages that we get at CMA, I'm going to say 1 out of 2 of them has to do something with DSP, because that's what it is. Everybody's talking DSP right now. Let's get to know you, Jason. You've been playing with DSP for quite a few years now. This is not new for you. It's kind of been a part of your routine, your mantra. What have you noticed as being the greatest shift as far as the offerings are from manufacturers these last few years?
Well, you get a lot of different options of tuning aspects, like the leaps and bounds that become what we can actually adjust now is amazing. One thing I love, though, is that you can get a DSP relatively easily and cheaply now. So you can actually get something decent without having to fork over $1,000. Of course, you put a $1,000 one in your car, it's probably going to sound better. But anything's going to be better than nothing. And if you're doing any type of integration to any factory system, you really should have it. Absolutely.
Very good. So accessibility, value, lower price points, all happens when things become more and more popular within the demand and supply of all things. Okay, let's get into our very first question of the evening, starting with you, Jay. Is DSP now mandatory to incorporate into today's audio builds? I'd like to hear with you first, Jason.
I think it's got to be in the conversation of anything, especially when you're integrating to anything. If you're integrating to a factory system, you have to have that conversation. Maybe not if you're just doing a basic subwoofer upgrade or something like that. If you're talking speakers and you're getting in that far, then absolutely. And because there are some inexpensive options for it, and everybody sells one now. Back in the day, It was you had to be a certain dealer to have access to these things. You know what? Everybody has access to a DSP. So there's no reason why you can't pick them up from one of the different manufacturers. Because I think everybody makes one now. I don't think there's a manufacturer that doesn't make one. So you have no excuse to not have one on the shelf. Especially if you're a guy that's selling $150, $200 Lino converters. Well, why not sell them a DSP? Just, it's there for you.
So for what I get there is no more excuses, guys. They're there. They're readily available. It's abundant. Go for it. Accessible. Keith, I'd like to hear your opinion on this same question.
Certainly. So factory systems have DSPs built into them. They're designed to not blow speakers up. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is to make things sound awesome. So we'll take their crap and change it into something that sounds awesome. And if you're going to use an aftermarket head unit, anything you can do is already built into the head unit. So most head units these days have a DSP built in. So you can change time alignment, you can change crossovers, you can change slopes of equalizer. Pretty much anything you want to do is in a factory or a new head unit.
Might I add, I was surprised to even see that some of these new source units even have parametric EQs built in. Like, that's pretty next level.
Summing.
Yeah, absolutely. Do your summing. Let's go to you, Autumn. The question is DSP now mandatory when incorporating into today's audio builds? Autumn.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. A lot of these, even the basic entry-level vehicles are coming with actually pretty good stereo systems right from the factory now. And, we get in there as aftermarket guys and we throw in a whole bunch of stuff. And if we're not taking into account DSP, in a lot of cases, you're actually removing features that, the factory is actually built into the car and the audio system that's in there from the factory. So, without adding one back in, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice and the customer as well.
Very much. So disservice to the customer without incorporating DSP. Paul, I'll leave you for the last comment on this question. Do you think DSP is now mandatory to incorporate into today's audio builds?
100%. You get vehicles that do come with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, so selling a head unit is out of the question. Plus, just like Autumn mentioned about factory features, you can't mess with those. There's no way you can. Even if you try, you're wasting your time. But really, what I find is that you should be pitching a DSP if the client has come in for a sound upgrade. Because usually the number one complaint that every customer has, a typical customer, I would say, oh, it's not loud enough. It gets muddy at a certain volume, So that's why for me, it's really, really important. It's just not, let's throw these speakers in and, you'll get, it'll sound a little better. For us, it's really important that when they do come to us, it has to make a difference when they leave our shop. Difference in the sense that, yes, we've done we've actually done what we said we were going to do, to give you better sound.
So you believe better sound equals DSP incorporated?
100%. Absolutely.
Fair enough. So I think we've established that everybody here this evening feels that, it's mandatory. DSP is here. It's just got to be in the system if we want to achieve optimum sound. Let's flip the script for you, Keith. Your shop you're always talking about how you keep your techs up to date, that you're ready to go. Your customer comes in, they are getting the latest information and the latest techniques into their vehicle. What suggestions, Keith, do you have for making sure that your shop, in your case, shops, are always up to speed with DSP?
So DSP requires a few different things. One, knowledge on how to use them. Two, the tools in order to see what's going on in order to implement them. And three, a way to be able to sell them to the customer properly. So training. Having the correct tools makes a huge difference. We just got the JL Max, and it's designed to show us what the phase is doing. So everything about DSP is about, in this application, it is about phase and correcting it so that the driver gets the best sound possible. In order to do that, you have to have a device in order to show you what's going on. Otherwise, you're like, where's the man on the boat kind of question, and it just doesn't work. So tools, training.
Tools, training, and training. Probably in that order as well. All right. Let's go with you, Keith, on this question number 2. You mentioned selling. A very important part of DSP, because it's great to install them, but you need to sell them first, right? So how do you at Sounds Good effectively sell DSP to your customers?
Customer comes in, has a question. We ask a lot of questions of every customer, but one of the first questions we ask is, how much does sound matter to you? Because some people, they come in, they're like studio engineers, right? So they really want great sound. Other people, they listen to AM radio. So sound's probably not going to be great for them or requirement. So first of all, we discern where they are in the level of sound quality. Once they get past a certain level of caring, then we'll ask them, where do you sit in the car, right? So your driver's side, is that the left side or the right side? Because we have both out here. And they usually say the left side. And so we say, okay, so when you're listening to a home stereo, do you sit in the middle of the couch or do you sit off to the left, right? So we get them in the mind frame of what the difference is between in a car and in a home or a rock concert or whatever they want to listen to, right? So part of the qualifying process is finding out if they prefer concerts, because if they prefer concerts or they prefer studio sound, or if they prefer more of a club sound, we'll design systems to make that happen in their vehicles. So getting back to the question. So if they're sitting to the far left of the sound stage, then we want to change the stage to put them in the center, because everybody wants to be in the center, right? Once they're in the center, then we can start making things correct in the room so that everything comes to them at the same time. So it's kind of like having a great set of headphones on. Everything comes to you when it should. So if sound is that important to them, we can do that for them. Would you like that, Ben?
I see. I got you. So kind of paint the picture using the example of a two stereo kind of system and positioning. Very interesting. Paul, I'd like to hear what your tactics are on or strategy is when it comes to effectively selling DSP to customers.
Well, just like Keith said, just ask questions. You qualify your customer. You want to know exactly, what they're looking for. Some have no idea what a DSP is. But my simple way of selling, and it's the most simple way, is I say, you know what? Let's go to my car. I have my car because I have a DSP in it. I don't want to confuse him. I don't want to talk his ears off. I just say, you know what? What's your favorite song? Do you have your phone with you? What is it you like listening to? Please get into the driver's seat, because that's where everything's going to happen. And as soon as we turn the vehicle on and the gentleman or the young lady, they play their music, their favorite songs, the most important thing is am I actually giving them that experience that I believe that they should be getting, or they believe that they should be getting? So really simple is once that, you turn the car on, you turn that volume up, and they hear it, they hear their favorite song. But this time it's different. It's like, oh, I have heard this song 50 times, but today I've never heard it like this. Like, what did you do? Now, they're not even asking me, what does a DSP look like? So we've gone beyond that.
They just want that experience again.
Exactly. And that's what we would like our clients to have, is that experience. I mean, when somebody goes to a concert, they've come to see their favorite band, right? They just want to see them perform. They don't know those guys behind who are actually the ones, the engineers that have created that sound. They're there to say, no, I've come to see Bon Jovi, or I've come to see, well, he's dead now, Michael Jackson. But, I just, like they I'm sorry.
But you're bringing up a great point. I just recently heard a great analogy, is that nobody leaves a concert talking about how great the light show was.
Yeah.
Everybody will remember, but everybody, or whistling the light show, they remember the musical experience. So that's what that's all about. Yeah. Autumn, I'd love to hear your take on it. Two very good. I mean, I don't think there's any wrong answer here. Everybody uses a different technique, but it's great to share these type of techniques that maybe other stores that have had difficulties, selling through DSP. Maybe this can help them out. So, what is the strategy over at Certified?
Well, basically, you don't want to offer it as an add-on. It's not something you add on to a stereo system. You start right out of the gate saying, this is what's required for you to get better sound in your vehicle. And pretty much that's it. I mean, DSPs have become very inexpensive. Integrated amplifiers with DSPs have also become very inexpensive. So it's really easy to get a customer into an amplifier with an integrated DSP that's going to allow them to go, active 3-way, active 2-way, whatever you want. And it's not going to break the bank. Use the speakers. I mean, you don't need to sell the person $6,000 speakers. You can probably sell them $2,000 speakers, and with the DSP, or something like that, you can make them sound really good.
Entry level $2,000 speakers, right, Autumn?
Absolutely, yeah. All day long.
All day long. I love it. All right. So basically, my takeaway from that comment is, just out of the gates, set the standard. This is what you need. You want great sound. You came to me for great sound. I'm going to give it to you, starting with this. Fair enough.
Yep.
All right, Jason. Let's hear the Andre's way of selling DSP.
Our big thing is we have one on demo, right on one of our main boards. And if someone wants to, we show it to them right there and then. I love demoing my vehicle, but I have 2 kids, and it's not always in a state that I like to take people into my car. And it sounds great, and I've done a lot of cool things, but there are days that I shouldn't bring customers in my car. So the showroom always clean, ideally, right? Everybody should have a clean showroom. But all I've ever done, and I've done this for years, is set someone up just left center on the board. And I do 2 presets on a super easy DSP, A and B. And all you really have to do is show them time correction, and they're going to sell. You don't have to EQ the room or whatever. You just show, watch, I can shift the sound from one side to another just by pressing this one button. And as soon as you show them that, they go, oh my gosh, what can I do? Right? Like, then you get into, oh, I have EQs on every single speaker, not just one global EQ. I can do all this. And then they just go, okay, yeah, we're done. That's what you need. So that very simple demo, just putting them off the side. Yes, this is where you sit in the car. Off to the left, watch this. The singer's now in the center. It's perfect. So that's my way of doing it. I've been doing that for 15 years.
If I may, gentlemen, just summarize a little bit of what I've learned, because I've learned a little bit from all your examples. At the end of the day, it's our job to educate the customer into what the challenges of the vehicle is. You're not sitting in your living room where you can have a perfect triangle to your 2 speakers. We're in the worst environment ever. Of course, we're not going to tell them that. What we are going to tell them is that we have solutions to make sure that you have optimum sound in your car. So whether you're bringing them into your demo vehicle, like Paul said, or you're showing them the demo board, like Jason said, or you're just going in saying, listen, you trust me, we're just going to start off, you need this, and here's why. Or you go the Keith very artistic route, and the whole explanation there. At the end of the day, you're the expert. Make sure you explain, and the customer's there, especially if you can show them the difference. I was wondering if anybody has a demo vehicle that they can just turn on and off the DSP, the AB that, because when you turn that off, you're like, oh my God, no, I don't want this. You turn it back on, like you got to AB that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you go from a sound stage, to like nothing, mush everywhere, knees. You know what I mean? And then obviously the other one is much more interesting. Yeah. Okay.
When you do in the demo, the best way to do it is you always show them the good, and then you take away it. Mm-hmm. Right? You show them the good one, you press, okay, here you go. It's like, oh, where'd the sound go now? Right? So, yeah.
All right. So let's get a little bit more technical, gentlemen. I'm going to go to Autumn and ask Autumn a question. Mr. Davis, manufacturers have been hard at work simplifying graphic user interfaces, GUIs, and software for that matter, and it's becoming a little bit easier to set up and to basic tune, let's call it. Do you think this is the right path moving forward? Is this a good representation for where DSP should be going? Because some of this auto-tune easier stuff isn't jiving with everybody.
Yeah, that's kind of a loaded question.
Mm-hmm. That's why I saved it for you, man.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. So I love that the manufacturers and the software engineers and everybody, they're putting a lot of effort into making it a super simple process. All this auto EQ, circuit identification. They can read the filters in the vehicle and correct for those, stuff like that. That's all really cool. And from a production standpoint, it makes a ton of sense. We can bring a vehicle into a shop, get one of the guys to hook it up, run the auto setup, boom, out the door, and it's very consistent every single time. My concern to that would be, what about the 1 or 2 times it doesn't work? I feel like by putting all of blind faith, all the trust into the unit doing all of those things, maybe in a few years there's going to be less push for people to actually learn the basics of how to integrate into these vehicles and how what crossovers do and all. all the basics that everybody needs to know to actually do a proper stereo system in a vehicle.
Very interesting. And I know your concern is shared by many, which segues me to our next question of the evening. How important are measurement tools for truly understanding the signal? So this kind of ties into what we just started. So I want to let you continue with that, Autumn, on that question. How important are measurement tools for shops to have such that they can truly understand the signal that they are dealing with?
You can't do a proper stereo without having the tools and actually knowing how to use the tools as well. Factory systems are so complex now when you get into the amplified systems and the different filters and all the stuff that they're adding in right from the factory. And I mean, there's a lot of products out there like digital interfaces, stuff like that easily remove all of those things for you. So you can, put in aftermarket amplifiers, DSP, and just go from there and start completely clean. But if that's not available, you really do need to be able to understand what's going on in the vehicle. And you have to know how to use the tools and actually understand the information that those readings are giving you and be able to come up with a solution to fix the problem or integrate with it somehow. It's kind of like if you don't have that basic knowledge, you're just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks at that point. Probably not the best idea.
Not in the long run, anyhow. How about you, Jason?
Right.
How do you feel about this question about measurement tools and truly understanding the signal?
Yeah, you really need to know what you're looking at. For years and years, I actually thought it. I thought I had a good ear. I thought I could actually do things without doing that stuff. Also, there wasn't as nice of tool sets you could buy, right? Like not everybody had access to some of the stuff like we do now. Like you can buy oscilloscopes and stuff so easy now. But you know what? As soon as I started embracing actually using proper tools, just the tuning process got way faster, got way easier, and it was actually much more accurate. I still probably will set up stereo quite nicely with just by ear, but it's definitely better if you actually tune it probably step by step, follow a process, always have a process with it. And yeah, just, if you got the right tools, it's always going to turn out better. Absolutely.
Very good. Now, Keith, you had made mention of this previously in one of your comments to your previous question, but this is it. How important are measurement tools and truly understanding the signal you are dealing with?
The first time I saw phase on a graph, I was totally blown away. I didn't have a clue what it meant. And so somebody taught me that when they're in a line with each other, they're in phase with each other. And so seeing that and then hearing it at the same time, I got an understanding of how that could be used in order to make things work for everybody in the car. No matter how tall you are, short you are, fat you are, all that stuff. And so seeing that in person and listening to it at the same time, it gave me the aha moment of the century. And so now tuning just makes so much more sense.
So what you're saying is understanding what you were hearing and seeing on a graph made a big difference for you moving forward because you understood why things were happening the way they were. Okay. Mm-hmm. Paul, how about you? I mean, seems like everybody in the panel feels that understanding the signal is super important and knowing how having equipment to measure it is also important.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if you want to have a proper sounding system, you have to know what's going in, what signal it is, how do you identify it. Perfect example, we just did a Toyota RAV4 last week. It just had the basic system. We're all familiar with all pass filters, but I thought I was a smarty pants, and I thought, there's only in the front. Until I checked the rears, I'm like, oh my goodness, we have them in the rears as well. It was kind of a rude awakening for me, to sort of kind of jump ahead and like my colleagues here, it's step by step, and once I test, I was like, oh my goodness, and the tool, like understanding is the most important thing of what are you dealing with, right? Yes, as Autumn mentioned, that with like B&O systems, like the Ford F-150. I mean, you can buy modules that are available, which will eliminate those issues. But what about a car that you don't have an interface for? What do you do then? How do you tackle that, situation? And the outcome has to be, it has to be perfect. It has to be as the best you can. So again, going back to that, tools are really important.
For me, gentlemen, after hearing your response on this one, I mean, inherently, it always makes sense to know what you're dealing with so that you could handle and tackle it properly. Period. Doesn't matter if we're talking about signal or any other category. But what I think is the most important takeaway was, we're talking about business opportunities and business potential for each of your shops. If you don't understand what is going on, therefore not having a solution for it, you're not making money on that guy. Period. Because you can't help him. So if you can't help them, you're literally turning away business because of your shortcomings in understanding what you're dealing with. Case in point, absolutely take the time, learn what you're dealing with, get the tools to make sure you can deal with what you're dealing with, and then execute, the right solution for said customer. Did I
I think
kind
one
of
thing too
summarize that?
though is yeah, I think the other thing too is make sure you're using your other tool that you have built in. Use your ears. You need to
Mhm.
learn what you're doing. So I've spent so many years in cars, especially with EQing, going, okay, what frequency range makes a woman's vocal sound nasally?
Mhm.
You have to not just go by the graph. You have to go in there once in a while and go, okay, I'm doing this big curve at like 4,000 hertz. What is actually changing here? And you need to learn what to listen for as well. Just for if you need to get in a customer's car, going, oh, yeah, I can fix this for sure, right? You know the problems here, and you know where the deficiencies are. So you got to be able to know what. That's the easiest way to know what you, like Keith said. Once you actually heard and saw it on the graph of what it was doing, it made all the sense in the world for them. So you do have to get in there and actually realize what you're doing with these DSP settings at the same time.
That aha moment that Keith was talking about, like I feel personally I'm there now where I understand the software, I know the settings. Now I just want to play with it so I can correlate what this on my screen means to what's coming in here. And once I
Exactly.
connect those dots, I think that's where everybody needs to be. I'm not there yet. I know you guys are, but that's where I am. All right, let's go back to Keith. Keith, what has been the biggest change in the way you present DSP to customers? Because you've said, and you've been a big advocate of this, all sound systems leaving the Sounds Good Bay have DSP. So, what's been the biggest way that you've changed the presentation?
Depends on the customer and the application. So some people come in with a vehicle with a factory head unit that has a DSP built in. And so we can change the speakers, we can put an amplifier in, we can put another sub in or bigger sub, and then tune it with their factory head unit to a degree. What's the biggest change? I guess it's how we show them. So much like my colleagues here, of showing them what it's like in my vehicle. So I've been through several transitions of stereo systems in my BMW X3. Currently, I have factory speakers in there, factory head unit. Kind of weird, right? High-end guy, factory stuff. But I have 4 really nice big amplifiers and a massive processor. And so what I've done is I've tuned it the way I like it, to me, sitting in the driver's seat, and I show them this and I say, hey, would you like this? Or yes, I can push that button and put it back to what the factory settings were kind of like. So what's the biggest difference? It's my passion, I guess. I'm going to go with that. Yes, my passion for DSP and tuning and making customers smile, like unbelievable smiles of, oh my God, I can't believe I had this. This is,
Because you truly believe deep down that this is what makes the difference. Like your
it is.
conviction, I think, is what changed. Does that make sense?
Yes. If you
Okay.
can't control it, hopefully throw spaghetti, find the man in the boat, whatever.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
All right. Here's a nice shift in conversation. DSP. It's kind of this organic thing that's kind of been growing beyond just the regular lane of car audio. The application of DSP is now into other environments or platforms. We're talking about marine. It's showing up in motorcycle. It's showing up in power sports. Keith, let's start with you. How do you feel about this side of the business of DSP entering into these other platforms?
Yay, less blown speakers. So everybody wants a different kind of sound. If you're out 80 feet back, you want loud, but not a whole lot of bass because you can blow up something and just a waste. But inside, you don't want the same kind of sound. So you change the zones to something else and you tune it differently. So in cabin cuddy, for example, you want something really subdued. In the back where everybody's sitting, you want it kind of lively and kind of like a club sound, lots of boom. You can do that with a DSP on multi-zone. It's really straightforward. Actually, Audison has an amplifier that does it. It's all built in. It's perfect. Motorcycles, same thing. You want it stupidly loud, but you don't want your ears to bleed. So you just tone down some of the really high frequencies that make that happen and lose the bass because you're not going to get any anyway. And then same with power sports. Again, loud, super loud. And depending on where the speakers are, you want to tone down certain frequencies to, again, stop the annoying kind of sounds. So DSP is mandatory no matter what you're doing. I'm sorry, unless you're listening to AM radio, then who cares?
And then who cares? Fair enough. Paul, how about for you in these other categories? Has DSP kind of made its way into these other platforms for you guys?
Well, to be honest, I mean, I don't really do any marine or power sports or motorcycles. However, I do follow, like I follow Sounds Good, what they do on when it comes to music. And then there's also a gentleman out in New Jersey, Carlos Ramirez, who does
Yes, Carlos from
water
MBS Audio.
bikes, and for like, watching his videos or seeing his posts, makes it, kind of very interesting that for him, it's from his own words, is he would not do a motorbike without DSP. So because I don't do it, that doesn't mean that it's not important to me. I'm hoping to get into that side of the business later on. But to say that DSP hasn't made its way into other categories, no, it's showing. People are actually grasping it, and they're using it, and for them, it's doing wonders.
Interesting. So, do you see yourself getting into those categories as a DSP audio specialist?
Hopefully, by next year I will be.
Okay, very, very cool. Jason, I know you do a lot of bikes, power sports. So, talk to me about DSP and other platforms than car and truck.
So I haven't really played around with them on bikes yet. I'm a big fan of the Rockford system. They're tuned really well the way they are. But on boats and other, it's something I'm going to start doing. But boats, I've done a couple of them with different presets for different situations. Like Keith was saying, if you're hauling down the lake 100 miles an hour, you want it bright, you want it in your face. You don't want that when you're sitting around just chilling with a beer, right?
Not in beach mode. Beach mode, you don't want that.
Yeah, exactly. So I fell in love a while ago just from simple ones. Clarion had a processor that was just simple trigger inputs. So all you do is you ground out a trigger and it changes to that preset. So I did it as simple as the keys on, here's your loud setting. Keys off, change the back down, right? Just keep it easy. Keep the customer away from the EQs and the deck and try to go in there and play with different things. So they're going to do it. I don't know how many boats I've ever seen that have that little underdash EQ with bass treble towers, and everybody knows who that's made by, and how many speakers were blown up because of that damn thing. You really get to set your limits, and you get a really good safety factor.
How about power sports, Jay? You put any DSPs in any side by sides or?
Yeah, I haven't done a side by side because side by sides they just need to go loud and reliable. So yeah, if I wanted to set some more limits, but again, Rockford do a lot of Rockford stuff. They got it pretty dialed in to having their amps with their adapters. I haven't honestly blown a speaker in a side-by-side in probably 4 years.
Nice.
If I set them up properly, there's nothing coming back. And that's why I love that system. Just reliability, because you need to make things reliable. I think I will, though, because there are a couple of my clients that have full party time beside it, and then they have full race mode. So that'll be definitely next step going in there.
Very, very cool. Mr. Autumn at Certified, I've seen everything come under there, from golf carts to yachts to power sports to boats. Talk to me about DSP outside of just the car.
Yeah, what it comes down to is just like everybody's been saying is protecting the speakers. Obviously, with DSP, you can set some pretty aggressive crossovers to protect those speakers at high volumes when you're flying across the lake or cruising down the highway at 100, on your motorcycle or whatever. And then maybe if you're just sitting there, relaxing, whatever, getting some sun, or you're in town just kind of putzing around on your motorcycle, you want it to sound a little better. So you can actually open up the crossover slopes a little bit, get a little bit better sound out of that, and just bring down the volumes a little bit because you don't need it to be so loud. So
I'm going to make a comment here, Autumn. From what I gather, the guys that want to put in this kind of money into their motorcycles for sound or power sport, UTV, or boat for that matter, usually only have one volume setting. Right, and that kind of causes a problem. So what I'm hearing here is DSP is certainly a fail-safe way to protect the longevity of said system, in a way that it really protects the hardware from the user. Does that make sense? It's
Yeah, I
almost like
wouldn't say fail safe. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way.
for
But
sure, right? Fair enough.
yeah, definitely helps you possibly with less speaker warranties or replacement for sure.
I don't remember who said the marine multi-zone thing, but I think that's becoming more and more of a deal. I'm starting to see that, between the JL MVI, amplifiers, as well as the Hertz Audio marine amplifier. They're starting to incorporate these multi-zone marine DSP settings, and I think they're onto something there, because it's not DSP like you're thinking in a car. It's completely a different type, a different scenario, but makes a whole lot of sense. So from the motorcycle thing, I kind of get it for the audio and the harshness point of view, but the boat thing really makes sense to me. So that's my comment on that. Mr. Paul, let's go back in time a little bit. Let's get some stories here. If you look back, what was the largest hurdle to overcome when it came to getting you and your team up to speed with DSP from both a knowledge and an execution standpoint?
Okay, so when we started selling DSPs, to be honest, it was more of a change in business. I needed to do something that, shops around my area weren't doing or were trying to do. So I think, first of all, the very first thing is you have to actually believe in it yourself. You shouldn't be selling DSP because everybody else is selling it. That, oh, you know what, I have one as well, and here you go, right? You have to believe in it yourself. You actually have to believe that the DSP, when you learn how to use it, what it does and all that. Well, we all know what it does. It's just that, I was one of those guys who was like, oh my goodness, now I got to learn something new. Like, what is this? What's this? Why is this? Oh my goodness, now I got to turn on a computer because I'm computer literate. Like, to me, it was like, oh my goodness, like, what's
It was
going
a chore. It was a chore.
Yeah, it was more than a chore. Right. I mean, for me, it was like, okay, well, what is this? Like, did you update it? Well, what's that? Oh, well, you got to go on our website and you got to download this. So just going through that, was just a learning experience in itself, right? But like I said, you have to 100% believe in saying, okay, you know what? This is DSP. We're going to sell it. We need to understand exactly how it works and why we're going to use it, right? What does it actually do? So I mean, and again, as far as when it comes to up to speed and stuff like that, I mean, I'm one of those guys who will just not hesitate and pick up the phone and call my colleagues and say, look, you know what? Like, I don't know what this is. I don't understand it. What is it? Can you just tell me in layman's terms? And it was like, okay, Paul, well, if you're doing this, you do this. Oh, right. Okay, I get it. Right. And that's what it's, because when we started, because me and my father, we work together, right? And my father just has no idea what I do, right? But to him, it was like, okay, so you're telling me that we are going to use this DSP, which costs more than a 5-channel amp, right?
Right.
But people are going to actually pay for it, and it's going to take you X amount of hours to do it, and we're going to be successful at it. And I was like, well, I can't really explain that to you, because if I can't, I can't. I go, but, there is support out there. I mean, there are great colleagues out there that will have no issues in helping. And I urge everybody else, like, if you don't know, if you don't know, just pick up the phone and call someone that, that will help you. There's great guys out there. They're everywhere.
Amazing.
So I mean, to me, that was the most important part. Was do you actually believe in it? And if I may, I'd like to give a special thanks to Glenn Swackhammer, who was the one.
Glenn.
Yes.
JVC Kenwood Glenn. Okay.
Yes. Well, he was Alpine then.
He was Alpine then, yeah.
So I mean, I have to really thank him. He was the one who was like, well, Paul, you need a challenge. looks like you're getting bored or you're getting frustrated, or you don't know which way your business is going, have you ever tried this? And then that was it. I mean, I got in contact, and I've never looked back after that. But I'm like I said, I'm grateful for everyone out there who has helped, and people sharing their knowledge. That's another thing. It's brilliant. I mean, I have to thank everyone out there.
On that note, that leads us to our final question of the evening, and it's an important one because I think a lot of dealers could definitely hear the different insight. What suggestions would you have, Paul, for making sure that your team, your squad, your shop is always up to speed with what's going on in the dynamic world of DSP that seems to be ever changing?
Training. Again, we have social media, we have Educar, that's a group, and again, there are gentlemen on there that will share that they ran into a problem into this new vehicle, a vehicle that I might not have done or I might be doing, and they share the outcome of what they had found and how they found it. It's like I said, I mean, it's a great community. Nobody shies away from sharing. It's not one of those, oh, it's a secret and I'm going to hold on to it, and I hope you blow the car up and then you call me, sort of thing.
Oh, goodness.
Like I'm just, and I really didn't mean that in that way. So don't get me wrong.
But shout out to Ken Ward from Educar, by the way. You dropped his name.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he came up with a great group, and there are great gentlemen on there that share and share. So I think that's a great.
So you're not shy to go social with it.
Oh,
and
absolutely
stay
not.
on top. Fair
absolutely
enough. Not. Mr. Stearns, how do you keep your team absolutely up to date with what's going on with DSP?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I try to stay up to date as much as possible to know what's relevant, what's out there. I'm on the same forums. I'm always looking at new things. How's this processor? Because there's so many processors. Before there was like, I had 5 or 6 to choose from. There are so many now. Every makes one. So I'm always looking to see, why is this one better? Why are these people using a new one now? Right? So, and I just make sure that trickles down to my staff and our company. With our stores, we just try to make sure everybody's in the loop. We have a big training seminar, and we make sure we try and let all of our guys know that knowledge. But the big thing is, I think you have to be on some of those forums because they're just questions and stuff that you never even thought to ask yourself. And if you're just scrolling through randomly at night, and it's like, holy crap, you can find just a ton of information on there that'll get you started for sure. The community on there is amazing. There's always somebody there that's gonna help you out. If you have a question, no one's gonna be put you down because you're asking a dumb question for the 5th time. Someone's always gonna help you in that thing.
Okay, all right. How about you, Autumn? You got a big technical team, a lot of people pressing buttons and wiring things. How do you keep them up to speed?
Well, the biggest thing would be obviously like everybody else was saying is myself. Just this is what interests me. So I'm always reading up on the new stuff. I'm always seeing what's out there, what's new and out coming out soon. After that, it really comes down to training your staff, specifically with the products that you sell through your store. Doing real-time trainings with them. A couple, probably a month and a half ago, I brought every single salesperson upstairs and we ran through Museway DSP setup. I just threw some speakers into some boxes and I showed them what all the buttons did in there, basically.
Would you say it's just as important for the salespeople to understand it as the techs?
I feel like it's easier to get a buy-in from sales if they understand what it actually does. Telling them, yeah, here's what it does, but if they can't actually understand what that means, you're not going to get the buy-in from them to be able to, help explain to a customer why they should purchase it, right? And then on the install side of things, honestly, the biggest thing is to have a solid process in the back that is undeniable. Here's what has to happen every single time you bring a vehicle in the shop. Here's how you check, here's what you do. And then after that, it's the same thing, just like the sales guys. You bring the install techs upstairs, you show them the newest software, you show them how it works. You never want to be charging a customer for one of your techs to learn how to use a product that you sell.
Interesting.
You want to know right out of the gate what its limitations are, how to get through the software, and basically do it as efficiently as possible in the back before you're actually starting to bill for it.
Very, very, very intelligent remarks right there. Thank you, Autumn. Keith, let's talk about Sounds Good. You've heard some pretty interesting and diverse answers this evening. What is the Sounds Good way of keeping everybody at the shop up to speed with DSP?
Demo cars. Everybody has a demo car. It just keeps it really simple. How do you like to have your music in your car? Well, let's play with it. Let them do it themselves. See what kind of mistakes they make, because everybody makes mistakes, especially in the beginning. We retune it for them, show them what we did to keep it to the place where it sounds better, and then we let them do it again. So demo cars, it's the way.
Play, learn, play, learn, play, learn. Very, very cool. Tonight we've covered a lot of different angles when it comes to DSP. We went from keeping your staff efficient to sales tactics to some of the obstacles that you've overcome in your own businesses to different platforms that DSP has kind of has its footprint in now. I think what we have all learned this evening is no doubt the same statement that I started this evening with is that DSP is here. It's here to stay. Like I am convinced that there are still many shops out there that haven't caught on to that concept yet. I know this because I hear the feedback from both manufacturers, distributors, and other retailers. And if you're one of those retailers that are tuning in, and if there's anything of tonight that kind of got you interested, maybe giving you that confidence to take that step, I guarantee you at least these 4 guests that I have with me tonight, if you reach out to them, you need a little bit of guidance, you need a little bit of advice. There's many more beyond just these 4 guests that we have this evening, but I think Paul said it best. It's a community that's willing to help one another, because it's not something that's simple. It's not something that you'll understand the first time, and it's certainly very difficult to comprehend it all alone without any input or guidance from an outside source. So on that note, Keith, Paul, Autumn, Jason especially, and Paul, and sorry, not Paul, but Keith, you guys are on vacation. I want to thank you for making the time to join with us. Instead of spending beautiful time with your family, you're here with us. Thank you. We appreciate you so much, and we appreciate you all for coming tonight to share with us all your comments on DSP. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So that was an awesome DSP session. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We appreciate you guys who are tuned in and watching, and those that are putting some comments. Now, let's go back and talk about what we launched in the beginning of the show. Just in case you missed it, we just dropped a bomb. And that bomb is the all-new CMA Networks and MasterTech Expo presents the Ultimate Fab Experience Giveaway Contest. In collaboration with 5-Axis Innovations and SiriusXM, we are giving away an all-inclusive trip to 2023 MasterTech Expo in Mesa, Arizona, including registration, including flights, including hotels, including meals. And no, we're not giving away just one. We're giving away 2 packages, 1 lucky winner from the US and 1 lucky winner from Canada. That all goes down and opens up at cmanetworks.com/giveaway. Sign up. It's going to be an online form. It's there right now. It's not open yet, but on Friday morning at 9 a.m., that registration will open. It is absolutely free to register, and 2 people are going to win that awesome prize. Thanks to our sponsors for putting that on. Now, what else do we have to tell you? We have our next roundtable. We try to do these about once a month. That's one scheduled for the end of this month, August 31st. We'll be talking to other dealers, some top dealers, about source units as well as OEM integration. That's our next topic, source units and OEM integration. And on that note, we want to make sure you're tuning in to CMA Networks right through to August 10th. For the source unit sessions, we're covering top brand source units, one single brand every single day. Lastly, of course, after all this, more than enough reasons to visit cmanetworks.com, whether it's for the videos, to register for the contest, you name it, cmanetworks.com. Search for your favorite video by brand, by category, or even by your favorite trainer, cmanetworks.com, where the 12-volt industry connects. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning into this CMA Roundtable, presented by SiriusXM and sponsored by 5-Axis Innovations. It's a fun one tonight. Can't wait to launch this contest. Good luck, everybody. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
topics frequently. I mean, yeah, let's talk about
Stop
today.
it.
Today we're gonna go
Yo.
topics.
Roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?